What if the most powerful weapon carried by an American soldier in World War II wasn't his rifle, but his voice? Late 1944, somewhere amid the shattered ruins of Normandy, a German intelligence officer carefully examines a captured piece of American equipment. At first glance, it appears unimpressive. A heavy olive-green metal box, a telephone handset, a long whip antenna rising from its frame. Another piece of American mass production. Crude, practical, nothing extraordinary. That was his first impression. But then his engineers finished taking it apart. Inside, the construction was unexpectedly sophisticated. Frequency modulation, carefully engineered shielding, a design remarkably resistant to battlefield interference. The radio continued working where others dissolved into static. That alone deserved attention, but it wasn't what truly disturbed him. The real shock came from somewhere else. They weren't finding one or two of these radios. They were finding hundreds. Ordinary infantrymen carried them. Not generals. Not headquarters. Not elite communications units. Common soldiers. The officer held the cold metal case in silence. Slowly, an unsettling realization began to form. This wasn't merely another radio. It was evidence. Evidence that the Americans were fighting an entirely different kind of war. This is not the story of a machine. It is the story of an idea. An idea that quietly transformed modern warfare. The SCR-300 wasn't revolutionary because of its electronics. It was revolutionary because of what it allowed ordinary soldiers to do. For centuries, armies had been built around a simple reality. The farther a commander stood from the battlefield, the less he truly knew. Orders traveled slowly. Information aged rapidly. Every battlefield existed inside a dense fog of uncertainty. The Americans had begun tearing holes through that fog, one portable radio at a time. To understand why this frightened the Germans, we first have to understand the world they were accustomed to. Imagine a German platoon leader in France during the summer of 1944. His men are pinned inside the dense Norman hedgerows. Smoke hangs low over the fields. Machine-gun fire cracks through narrow gaps in the vegetation. Then, through a break in the foliage, he spots something 500 meters away. An American machine-gun crew begins setting up inside a ruined farmhouse. It is a perfect target. Destroy it now, and his platoon might survive, leave it untouched, and dozens of his men could die. The opportunity exists. The knowledge exists. Yet he cannot act. How does he report it? He could send a runner, a single soldier sprinting across open ground, dodging bullets and shell fire, hoping to reach company headquarters alive. If the messenger survives, the information may already be 10, perhaps 20 minutes old. The machine gun may already be gone. Perhaps his platoon still has a field telephone. A thin copper wire stretches back toward headquarters, but telephone wires are fragile. An artillery shell, a passing tank, even falling debris. Any one of them can sever the connection instantly. Most often, the receiver answers with nothing but silence. His platoon becomes an isolated island, blind, deaf, cut off from the larger battle. The irony is almost cruel. The German army prided itself on off-track stack TIK. Mission command. Junior officers were encouraged to think independently, to seize opportunities, to act without waiting for permission. The lieutenant possesses the initiative, the training, the authority, everything except the one thing he truly needs. Communication between seeing an opportunity and bringing artillery onto it lies an enormous gap. That gap is measured in time. And on a battlefield, time kills. This had always been the nature of war. Battles were fragmented. No commander saw the whole picture. Orders reflected information that was already outdated. Entire offensives unfolded through disconnected struggles, each fought by men who understood only a tiny piece of what was happening around them. The Wehrmacht had become exceptionally good at fighting under those conditions. Its officers expected confusion. They adapted to it. They mastered it. Then, during the Normandy campaign, something began happening that none of their doctrine could explain. German positions opened fire, and American mortars answered almost immediately. Artillery arrived with impossible speed. Infantry attacks stalled, and moments later heavy shells landed exactly where German defenses were strongest. The Americans seemed to react before information could possibly travel. It felt unnatural, almost supernatural, as though they weren't fighting inside the same fog of war at all. Now imagine the battlefield from the opposite side. An American platoon. July 1944. The maze of hedgerows near St. Low. Without warning, An MG-42 erupts ahead. Its terrifying rate of fire locks the platoon flat against the earth. Every instinct tells them the same story. Attack directly, and they'll be slaughtered. Attempt a slow flanking movement, and hidden German positions may catch them instead. Then something entirely different happens. A private carrying a 30-5- found SCR-300 radio kneels behind cover. He removes the handset. He is not a general, not even an officer. He simply serves as the platoon's voice. Quietly, he speaks a few words. Grid coordinates. Target description. Nothing more. Then everyone waits. 1 minute. 2. High above them, a new sound appears. Not aircraft. Artillery. Moments later, a concentrated barrage crashes directly onto the German machine-minus gun position. Not scattered fire. Not blind bombardment. Precision. The MG-40 falls silent. The platoon rises. The advance continues. This wasn't luck. It wasn't exceptional leadership. It wasn't even exceptional artillery. It was a system. For the first time in military history, the ordinary infantryman was no longer just another rifleman. He had become the eyes of the entire army. Every foxhole, every hedgerow, every ruined farmhouse. Each became another sensor connected to a vast network of artillery, armor, and command. The battlefield itself had begun thinking faster, and once that transformation began, nothing about modern warfare would ever be the same. What happened in that muddy Norman field wasn't an isolated success. It was the birth of an entirely different battlefield. The SCR-300 and its smaller companion. The SCR-536 Hand, Yamanostaki did far more than give American infantry portable radios. They rewired the nervous system of an army. Before their arrival, calling artillery required a specialized forward observer. He needed high ground, a clear line of sight, a dedicated telephone line stretching back toward the batteries. He was valuable precisely because he was rare. The radio changed that overnight. Now the observer could simply be another infantryman crawling beside the lead squad. When the platoon hit the dirt, he was already there, seeing exactly what every rifleman saw. When he called for artillery, he wasn't estimating from distant landmarks. He was describing the fight as it unfolded. Live. American artillery stopped behaving like a blunt instrument. It became something frighteningly precise. The delay between spotting a target and shells landing on it collapsed from 20 or 30 minutes to only a few, on a battlefield measured in seconds. That difference was everything. The effects spread beyond artillery. Every branch of the American army began talking directly to every other branch. Picture another engagement. Near St-Low, an American platoon is pinned behind a hedgerow, not by machine-gun fire this time, but by a hidden German Pak-40 anti-tank gun concealed inside a stone barn. Charging it would be suicide. Yet only 100 yards behind the infantry, the Sherman tank waits. Inside the tank, the commander cannot see the gun. His world is limited to narrow vision slits and dusty periscopes. The barn appears harmless, just another ruined French building, but the platoon leader sees the muzzle flash. He lifts his SCR-536, Gibraltar 6, Dogwin, target barn, traverse left, up 2, fire. The message lasts only seconds. Inside the Sherman, the gunner adjusts. One shell, then another. The stone walls collapse inward. The German gun disappears beneath rubble. The infantry provided the eyes. The tank delivered the fist. Separate units became a single weapon. German soldiers struggled to understand what they were facing. Thereafter, action reports from France and Italy reveal the same unsettling pattern. Machine gun positions opened fire. Mortar shells arrived almost immediately. Counterattack formations assembled behind hills, only to be shattered before they even advanced. Entire platoons disappeared beneath artillery that somehow seemed to know exactly where they were gathering. At first, German commanders reached for familiar explanations. There must be spies, French civilians, resistance fighters, hidden observers signaling American artillery. It was the only explanation that fit traditional military thinking. No army could possibly react this quickly on its own. The captured equipment told another story. Signals intelligence officers began examining intercepted American radio traffic. What they heard surprised them. This wasn't occasional communication from headquarters. It was constant. Sergeants talking to mortar teams, lieutenants directing tanks, forward observers adjusting artillery. Every level of command was speaking. Continuously. The battlefield itself had become a conversation. German communications specialists soon realized something even more unsettling. The Americans weren't merely transmitting orders. They were transmitting decisions. A platoon encountered resistance, reported it, requested fire support, received confirmation, and adjusted the bombardment. All before many German officers even received the original report from their own front line. The Americans had compressed the decision-making cycle itself. One innovation demonstrated this perfectly. Time-on target fire missions. Normally, different artillery batteries fired separately. Shells arrived over many minutes, giving defenders time to dive for cover. American batteries instead synchronized their firing. Some guns launched first, others later. Different ranges, different trajectories, but every shell, from every battery, arrived simultaneously. The first explosion was immediately followed by hundreds more. No warning, no gradual build-up, only sudden annihilation. Such coordination demanded precise timing, and precise timing required constant communication. The radios made it possible. German analysts slowly recognized the real revolution. It wasn't technological. It was philosophical. The Wehrmacht's command system resembled a pyramid. Information climbed upward. Orders traveled downward. A lieutenant needing artillery support informed his company commander. The company contacted battalion. Battalion coordinated with artillery headquarters. Approval returned through the same chain. It was orderly, disciplined, controlled. The American system looked